Today on the channel, we're going to take a look at Guitar for the Practicing Musician from September of 1988. Alright, we're going to take a look at Guitar for the Practicing Musician from September of 1988. So this is a great old issue. This has got some classic Guns N' Roses on the cover with Slash and Izzy. Got an article in here on Van Halen and a transcription for Get Up. So some good stuff. Vinnie Moore, Scorpions, Buddy Guy. Let's take a look. We'll crack into it. Okay. Mike Varney and Shrapnel Records present Racer X, Greg Howe, Marty Friedman, Jason Becker. I dig that live Racer X stuff. Very cool. Check out the G&L Telecaster. Never owned a G&L. I've heard they're really good. The headstock, kind of weird how it's, I don't know about that, but it's cool. I'd like to try a G&L. Check out the Pocket Studio. Look at this dude. That's Mark Slaughter. Holy crap. Mark Slaughter, Vinnie Vincent Invasion. He's using the Vestifier GSM 501 Pocket Studio. Man, I bet that thing sounds terrible. Alright, so here we got Slash and Izzy. Looking super cool. This is a cool look. Denim vest with a leather jacket. He's got all these pins. I like that look. That's cool. Cool necklaces. Okay, next page. We got some letters to Guitar for the Practicing Musician. Let's see. Let's read one of these. Back when people used to write letters in versus emails and tweets. I'm writing to say that I really appreciate the style and attitude of your magazine. I'm just starting out and I really am thankful to the consideration you use when putting your magazine together. I feel like I'm getting some support in what I'm doing and that there are people out there who really care if I get where I want to go. I especially want to thank you for the tablature that you include with your music. It really makes it easier for those who haven't had much experience with reading music. It helps to keep us from getting discouraged. Thanks again for an awesome magazine. Seems like things were a lot more positive back then. And now everybody just complains. Pocket Rocket. Sounds like something your girlfriend or wife would bring back from a surprise party. Okay. I like how they got this model here for Morley. Totally 80s. These leather boots up real high. That whole dress, Get Up. Thanks for the article on Lita Ford in your July 88 issue. Lita is a really great guitarist who has inspired me since her days in the Runaways. Yeah, I'm so sure she's inspired that guy. Alright, #1 Japanese import. Akira Takasaki. This is the dude from Loudness. Look at that guitar he's playing. Look at that thing. I can't tell what that is. It's pretty crazy. It's got all this Rocktron stuff. Compressor, limiter, gain reduction. distortion, exciter. That stuff actually probably sounded pretty good. There's Wolf Marshall. He was a master at guitar tablature. For all the transcriptions, it's talking about it there. Set the standard for guitar transcriptions. I've got all these magazines, all those back issues. Rudolf Schenker. Check out Rudolf. Got the leather studs on the shoulder pads. Everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey. He's talking about songs that he really digs. I like the cowbell. It's a good idea. They knew how to build a song. That is a great song. Helen of Troy from Now and Zen by Robert Plant. Now and Zen was a great album. I need to dig that out and listen to some Now and Zen. Some of those early Robert Plant records were really good. Number 3, One Vision from Live Magic by Queen. His number 4 was Can I Play with Madness? Can I play with madness? Joe Perry advertising the Gibson SG. Check out these Reader Choice Awards nominations. Metal God in Waiting, Michelangelo, Doug Boyle, Vito Bratta, Mark Ferrari. I don't know who Mark Ferrari is. Greg Howe, Chris Impellitteri, Kerry King, Andy LaRocque, and Vernon Reid. Kerry King was in there. Top of the Rock, Clapton, Lynch, Malmsteen, Jimmy Page, Joe Perry, Trevor Rabin, Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen. So Trevor Rabin beat out Eddie Van Halen for Reader's Choice Award nominations. Blues Power, Lonnie Brooks, Albert Collins, Robert Cray, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Donald Kinsley, Hubert Sumlin. Instrumentalist of the Year, Becker and Friedman were number 1. Oh, I see what this is. These are, you vote. These are letters, are not number 1s. I'm sorry, guys, I'm going through this too quick. See, these are the selections, okay? So instrumentalists, David Chastain, Paul Gilbert, Pete Haycock, Tony McAlpine, Malmsteen, Montrose, Vinnie Moore, Powell, Turner, Joe Satriani. Man on bass, Steve Harris, Geddy Lee, Rudy Sarzo, Billy Sheehan, Nikki Sixx, Chris Squire, Doug Wimbish. Songwriters of the Year, Comeback of the Year. Comeback of the Year, Def Leppard. Yeah, I would say so. After Rick Allen losing his arm. New Band of the Year, Guns N' Roses. And White Lion was in there. The Radiators. Who the heck are the Radiators? MVP, Vivian Campbell, Rudy Sarzo, Adrian Vanderberg. Wow, that's cool that these guys got MVP and they were just hired to tour for the Whitesnake album. I guess they're MVP because they kind of came through on the tour. Satch and Vai, Jimmy Page. I wonder if Jimmy Page had put out like Outrider, an album recently, because he was listed twice on here. I don't remember him being super relevant in the 80s. Guitar LP of the Year, Permanent Vacation, Third Stage, Crossroads by Eric Clapton, Hysteria, Back for the Attack, Once Bitten, Twice Shy, Guitar and Son, I don't know that one, Greg Howe, Maximum Security, Odyssey, Time Odyssey, Outrider. I see, Jimmy Page had Outrider. Okay. Yeah, that was a good album. Vivid, Living Color, Love Sexy, Prince, Skyscraper, David Lee Roth, Surfing with the Aliens, Satriani, Oh You Wait One Two, Van Halen. Pride by White Lion. And you write in your category, Solo of the Year, Hall of Fame. Okay, let's see what we got here. Get past some of these weird ads. Look at the rat advertisement. Got the rats on the mousetrap. This rat here's ratting and rolling. It's a rack mountable rat. The R2DU. Stylus picks. These were great. These taught me how to speed pick. They really did. This is how I developed my speed picking technique. It was so hard because the string would catch on this thing, and it taught you how to play with just a point with a pick. Totally not a gimmick. At first I thought it was, but I had one of these Echo Pluses. These Digitech pedals, with the dual pedals on them like this, these were good quality pedals, man. I liked them. Robbie Krieger from The Doors, a little article with him. He says, most bands put on a show. Robbie Krieger commented, The Doors were the living theater. Jim really lived the life that you saw on stage. I dig The Doors, man. It's hippie rock, but I dig it. Look at this Carvin combo amp this guy's playing. That's Izzy. Izzy playing a Carvin combo. I said, this guy I should have recognized by the big necklaces. He's playing a big combo. That's before they went big, man. Like big. He's playing Carvin. Def Leppard promoting GHS boomers. Axe by Phantom, Whammy Bar by Floyd. Phantom guitars. These look pretty cool, actually. I mean, they look like BC Riches and Ibanez. Neat. Look how skinny Phil Collin is. I mean, the dude's absolutely ripped now. Both these guys were skinny. Of course, they were a lot younger, but dude. I wanted a Randall so bad back in the day because I wanted to sound like Def Leppard. When Randall, they had tube amps with attenuators. I wanted one so bad. Never could find them, and there was no internet. There's the Hohner, the headless Hohner, cashing in on the Steinberger fame. Okay, here's some performance notes. They give you performance notes on these songs. Get Up was in this issue. And it's kind of funny, they got the Steinberger, and Eddie played, well, the Steinberger copy. They got the song Get Up in here, in this ad right here too. Get Up's based on power chords that are moved through a chord progression by the use of the transstrum. In the opening chords, the transstrum A5 power chord is the second measure, move up to the C, moved up to the D, and then a whole step E, move up to F, half step. They got the Light My Fire tabs. Okay, we'll get through the tablature here. That'd be fun to learn that intro on guitar. Classical Gas by Mason Williams. I remember that was on a Chet Atkins album in the late 80s, mid 80s. This is a great song. This is a really cool song to play. I used to be able to play most of that. Welcome to the Jungle. All right, what else we got in here? There's Randy Rhodes. Clapton. From folk to the classics to the blues, the sound of acoustic guitars giving rock music some of its finest moments. So Wolf Marshall also did, he did some journalism too. I thought this was Tears for Fears for a minute. Okay, they got some acoustical stuff in here, fingerstyle, folk, Delta blues stuff, bottleneck. I'll have to come back and take a look at some of this. Country, jazz, ethnic. Sebring guitars. Jumping on that shred. That shred thing in the 80s. 189. Funny, man. 30 years later, almost 30 years later, you can... over 35 years later, you can get Kramer Bretta's for $189. That was probably like $500 back in those days. Okay, here we go, man. We got the Guns N' Roses guys, Izzy and Slash. The street rep acquired in the past year by Guns N' Roses, this year's reigning kings of LA, is no surprise to Megadeth's Dave Mustaine. Guns N' Roses is one of the bands that actually is offering something for people to see There's a youth movement out there with a lot of attitude. They're an honest-to-goodness rock and roll band, and it's strictly for the fun and games of it. The kind of band you think about and associate with the word rock and roll. Known around town as the latter-day West Coast edition of Aerosmith, their off-the-cuff approach and party-down attitude is epitomized by Slash and Izzy, their ragged two-guitar lead rhythm section players who are determined to walk this rock and roll road in the classic way. As one LA label exec has gone off the record as saying, these guys will be huge if they live long enough. While they're still around, Guitar sat down with them both to discuss all the elements that go into creating a record year. It's history in the making right there. Playing some beautiful Gibsons. You had a leg up on many of us because your music situation at home. My parents were in the business. This is Slash talking. So I was weaned on music when I was a kid. My dad used to my dad used to do all the album covers for Geffen Records. I've known David Geffen all my life. It's kind of nice to know Dave Geffen. How quickly were you good enough to enjoy playing? I picked up pretty quickly. I started a band as soon as I started playing. I was so single-minded that I played 12 hours a day. I can't say that I was so talented. I can say I was so into it I had no choice but to learn what I was doing. When I first started playing, I was naive and ignorant about it. I didn't know what lead guitar was. I don't know if I wanted to play bass. I just wanted to play. I thought, I'm going to play. I need lessons. All right, moving forward. How'd you hook up with Izzy? When we first met, we didn't click musically at all. Izzy and Axel had a band together. I wanted to get Axel, and I didn't want to work with another guitar player because I'd never done it before. Working with other guitar players, I couldn't be in control of what was happening on the guitar. I wanted to get Axel away from Izzy, which was impossible. At the time when I met Axel, we started a band and Izzy was in it, but he split the band to join a band called London, which I had just quit. That was cool. So me and Axel had a band going. That broke up eventually. Axel joined LA Guns and Izzy joined LA Guns because everybody just wanted to be in the band and working. That didn't work out, and I got a call that said, do you want to come back and play with us? At first I didn't want to do it because me and Axel had been through some bad times together. I did it and it worked with Izzy, and that was what was happening. It was the only band I could find that I could relate to. If you listen to the record, me and Izzy don't play anything alike. Our sound is completely different. He doesn't play lead hardly at all, but his rhythm style is cool. I was a lot heavier than he was, but he worked it out, and it wasn't even a conscious thing. We just played together and eventually got better and better, and now we sort of gel more. Interesting. They talk about their EP, how it doesn't sound like Appetite for Destruction. I didn't know they had an EP. You've got a raw spirit on wax, which is rare at the first trip through the studio. Because we did basic tracks in a few weeks, and then I went back and Izzy did the basic tracks. That's it. Otherwise, what's coming out of the left speaker is what we did in 2 weeks. Everything he did was in mono. I went back and did all the stereo stuff. Izzy is on the left and I'm on the right, and I'm in stereo with the echo and slide stuff. I'm more distorted than Izzy. Are you enough of a perfectionist that you offhand solos are not particularly offhand? I went and did basic tracks and played along with the drums and bass and Izzy. I would screw around but keep the actual song going. Then I would go back later and redo the whole rhythm and all the leads in front of the monitors in the control room. I had the monitors cranked up really loud and would just play along. I can't play with headphones. Most of the stuff on there is pretty improvised. Brownstone was the first lead that came to me. There's a long lead at the end of Paradise City that was basically improvised. Sweet Child was basically off the cuff. Did you know what you wanted when you went for each track? I had a great Marshall half stack in it, and I had nothing else except the Dean Markley voice box and a Crybaby wah pedal. I've always liked wah pedals. I don't use any effects that I don't have control of. A wah pedal is a statement. A flanger is a sound that's produced electronically, and that's completely inhuman and not happening. You can play around the sound it gives you, and that's cool, but I just can't have fun with it. Do you practice for better technique or control? I should practice and concentrate more on technique, but I don't. I just keep it in my head. My right hand technique sucks live. I play a lot faster than I do in the studio just because the energy level. What do you listen to live? Totally drums and bass. I don't listen to Axel or Izzy. I know what Axel's doing and he's got a handle on it, and I don't have to worry about that. I don't really need Izzy to play off of. How do you avoid stepping on Izzy? Because we know each other so well and I know what he's doing. The main thing is what we wrote and what we played live before the album was done is what we do live. Do you know the solos on the record? I know the way it sounds to me. That's really it. That's the reason it's on the record in the first place. How important are guitars and amps to your sound? I went through 20 Marshalls before I got the right one to do the album. As far as live goes, and any good 100 watt Marshall will do. As far as guitars, it's a Gibson Les Paul. There's nothing else. I have two 59s, which are God to me. I have Seymour Duncan Alnico 2 pickups, which are great. I don't have any effects. I play straight through the amp. Did you pick the Paul up because of Joe Perry? No, I picked up the Mockingbird when I was starting to play because I saw a picture of Joe Perry with a Mockingbird. I thought it was bitchin' looking. I saved up all my money and bought one. It was great, but the only thing I played for a long time. Then I was progressing as a guitar player toward being more of an individual and picked up on kinds of different guitars along the way. When Guns was happening, I was playing a BC Rich Warlock that I sold for an endorsement from Jackson. I had a Firebird from them, which was black with a tattoo on the corner of it. That interview gets continued later. We go on. Here's Izzy. What got you interested in playing? When I was 13, I started going to block parties. There'd be bands playing. Every once in a while on American Bandstand, you'd have a good band. I wasn't a frustrated guitarist who chose the bass. I was a frustrated drummer. They asked, does that have an influence on what you play? I'm sure there's some connection between the way I play the bass and when I play the guitar. What do you remember about switching to guitar? It was mostly because of writing. I like the sound of strumming a guitar. Were you in many bar bands? Axel and I have known each other for 15 years. We grew up together back in the Midwest. We had a couple of garage bands. We came out here and played every club in the city off and on over the years. We still go back and play there once in a while too. Were there any originals or covers? Both. I wrote pretty much right away with Axel. What records were important as you started playing the guitar? Exile on Main Street by the Stones. Double Live Gonzo has some of the most incredible guitar on it. The Ramones. Road to Ruin. Were you a practicer? Consciously. I never thought I've got to rehearse to get better. I found that it never worked. I don't know the notes. I only know 3 or 4 of the chords that I play. I don't know anything about that except the sound, but sometimes you get in the mood to pick up the guitar. When I'm touring, I spend more time with my guitar than anything else. So how do you find a new sound? I do riffs and pull-offs. I slide things around and try drilling on a single note. Slash and I will bounce things. I'll come in with a riff and Slash will say, that sounds like something else. I'll turn it sideways and backwards and we'll play what we're playing and throwing it back and forth. Did you work with other guitar players before working with Slash? I was playing drums with Axl before Slash. There was never an actual work involved. There was a couple of other guitar players I might have played with for a month on different projects. How'd your attitude change? Our musical taste and influences were exactly the same. I love Zeppelin as a band. And that's continued on page 123. So we'll keep continuing on here. There's the Welcome to the Jungle tablature. It's a pretty dog. I got a friend up in Alaska that's got a dog that looks just like that. Little dog. Cool. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-knees. There's Get Up. I think I'll check this out later and see if I can. Never learned a lot of this song, but there's some tapping in it that I think is interesting. I think I may go in and look at this tapping solo that Eddie does. There's a lot of signature Eddie stuff in that solo. That'd be fun to explore, something fresh for my Van Halen mindset. The vinyl score, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, performance, energetically melodic, hot spots, Moonchild, and The Evil That Men Do. Bottom line, Maiden approaches a middle ground. Odyssey by Yngwie. Got a good review. Savage Amusement by the Scorpions. I like that album. The Speed of Sound by Montrose. Never heard it. Never heard any of that Greg House stuff for some reason. Rocky Hill. Can't say I've heard that. Western Vacation. I can't say I've heard that. Every Shade of Love by Jesse Johnson. Nope. Live from Chicago, Lonnie Brooks. I bet you that's really cool. I need to check out and see if I can find that on YouTube. Vernon Reid, Living Color. Interesting fret markers on that Super Strat he's got there. Cool Ibanez hat there. I like these yellow Ibanez's. I sold one a few years ago. I kind of regret it. It was just an RG, but still, wish I had it. There's Buddy Guy. Synonymous with the blues. Nurtured by muddy waters. Famed right hand to Junior Wells. Blistering harp. Compatriot of Otis Rush and Luther Allison and Howlin' Wolf. Oh, there's Vandenberg. He's got that funky looking Peavey. These guitars are super collectible. Looks tiny, man. This guitar looks like it's like a kid's guitar. Those Vandenberg models those are collectible, man. Big Ampeg stack. That's a good picture of Buddy Guy. Look at that, man. He's playing that 335. I think that's a 335. These dudes back in the 60s and 70s, man, they'd wear suits. I love that look now. It just looks cool, man. Ah, look at this here. We got a 5150 article by Wolf Marshall. Let's see what Wolf had to say about 5150. Before we close the record book on the dramatic, personal, and musical changes that occurred with the band and the music of Van Halen as they moved from 84 to 5150 and explore the next step as heard on OU 812, we thought an in-depth look at the music of 5150 was in order. Not only was this the band's first #1 album, but it also signified the major change in the playing attitude of guitar great Eddie Van Halen. After the often staggering instrumental pyrotechnics that marked his earlier career, this attention to songwriting increasingly predominated. Even while taken aback by this shift, Many of his fans and peers ultimately applauded it. Typical of them, perhaps, is the comment by White Line's Vito Bratta. On 5150, it seems that Van Halen got the songwriting down, but his playing has gone just a little bit flat. But the bottom line is, there's not too many records where I can leave it on a continuous play and keep listening. On other albums, he's playing better because he's faster and out there more. This doesn't have the same fire it used to, but it's in its own way it does. Van Halen's move toward pop clearly indicated with 1984's Jump, but glimpsed earlier and Dance the Night Away, Jamie's Cryin', and others, is continued in Why Can't This Be Love. Here Eddie rocks out on keyboards, saving guitar for the scat guitar duet, vocal guitar duet in the bridge, and the sparse but effective solo, based largely on chord shapes. It's a mature album. That's what I'm reading. Let's see. Melodicism, lyricism, and subtlety notwithstanding, Van Halen rocks as hard as and heavy as before. The power rock intent of the chord riff in Best of Both Worlds is as solid and driving as an AC/DC groove, while the intensity and rawness of Good Enough and Get Up is practically metallic. Eddie Van Halen proves again to be a most accomplished riff maker. The broken chord pattern of 5150 with its distinctive finger-picked attack is as musically interesting and rhythmically compelling as many of his most renowned signature riffs. You know, I was thinking about it the other day, 5150 sounds very similar to little guitars. I was learning little guitars, and it's very similar. Totally Eddie. Let's see, Eddie Van Halen's incendiary lead guitar work is brilliantly showcased in the solo in 5150. This is the longest solo on the album and is distinguished by Eddie's formidable flair of improvisation and a myriad of trademark techniques. Note the use of the array of tap-on approaches, including right-hand glist approaches, or glist taps, all manner of bends, and artificial harmonics. Totally. 5150, the police code for the criminally insane, the name of Edward's studio, and the number painted on his guitar was also Van Halen's first #1 LP. As expected, it contains a number of surprises, treats, and changes. Van Halen is continuing to move forward and is still successful, both musically and commercially, and no, they did not lose the magic. Well done, Wolf Marshall. Well written. I like this article so well it kind of makes me want to find one of these on eBay, but I'm going to pass. All right, back to Izzy. We'll skim through this Izzy thing real quick. Still got paint on my fingernails from painting this DIY guitar kit. Not paint, but ink. Did you play differently because there was another guitarist? It was very natural. I'm a very basic player. I always hear the simplicity of a song. How it worked out was everything before you went into the studio. If you can play your songs good live, you can. You don't have any real problems in the studio. That's true. Play them live for a long time. Get them down, work them out, then go in the studio. Appetite sounds so live. How much of the interplay is worked out exactly? In the studio, our drummer is completely hyper. We do a song 2 or 3 times, and if you don't get it, you move on. Sometimes you'd have to slow him down. Even now, when I listen to him, these songs sound kind of fast. Plus, we were so excited to finally be working on the record. We were signed for a year before we actually got with the right people and knew this was it. What'd you do during that year? We tried a lot of different people for producing. We worked with Manny for 3 days. We tried a lot of people who wanted to come in and change the music. We were totally against that. You figure if there's nothing else you have at your music, at least you can say, this is my record. We stuck to that. We spent a year in LA. We played clubs This manager got us this huge house in the hills. We thought we'd made it. We were partying a lot. We wasted a lot of time, but we had a great time at the same time. Now it's great because the record is out and doing well, and we're already working on the new one in Redondo Beach. We've pulled together 9 or 10 new songs. Anything that you learned from the first record that'll make the second record better? Being more efficient when you're in the studio. If you stay out till 5 in the morning and come in the next day, it makes it even harder to make sure you're in tune. Is there a sound that you have in order to play well? I can play through an amp and any amp and any guitar. There is a sound I prefer in between country clean and Marshall distortion. Most of the time I use a hollow body. In fact, on the most recent tours, that's all I play is an ES 175 with a soap bar pickup. That's pretty rad. This new Gibson I've got, which is 5 inches deep, had a sliding bridge which is super glued down. The tone on that through a boogie is incredible. Slash plays a Les Paul with a Marshall. Between those two sounds, you've got a good distinction. I don't think they brought that out well on the record as I would have liked. I recorded with a full stack. When I look back at it now, I see the way to go is to push with a small amp. I'd like to get a bit more mids out the next time. That's true. I'll try a boogie with a 12-inch. I've been messing around with Carvin amps and getting good tones out of those. Continue on page 131. Look at the Carvin stack. What the heck? Check out that Dean. Pointy headstock Dean. Charvel had a combo amp. I didn't know Charvel made amps. Go figure. Axe sack. Protect your axe. That's like a bra for your guitar. That's terrible. Axe sack. Okay. Okay, back to Izzy. Has success changed your playing? When you're successful, all it does is enable you to enjoy it more. You can play a little more, so hopefully you can get better. You have more time to play, but sometimes I go for 4 or 5 days without even wanting to pick up a guitar. Then all of a sudden I may want to lay it down. I may not want to lay it down for a week. How do you write songs all the time? Or do you write songs all the time? Or just when you need to for the record? I think subconsciously I'm always writing, whether I'm playing for pleasure. I'll turn on the radio or tape and just jam. What song is mostly your input? Think About You was cut and dry when I brought it in. Even if you write a song completely, when you bring it in, the song, it always ends up a little different. For Michelle, Axl called up and said he had this melody. I had a riff, and it was a slow, smooth melody. Do the songs change now that you've had a chance to play them live in front of a big crowd? The more you play on tour, the easier it is for the band to adapt to a situation. If Axl disappears off stage during a verse, I'll look at Slash and we'll improvise a riff for a verse. If the bass goes out, I'll flick up the toggle switch and pound down the low E string. You adapt. That's how you get better. All right, here's the end of the Slash interview. Sounds like you've developed your taste for guitar sound in the last year. I'm still learning. I'm only 22. I got my first guitar tech when we were on the last tour. At first I had guys that all they did was take your guitar out of the case and try to tune it up and make sure it was in tune and was ready for stage. I would do all the work as far as intonating them. I did that for the whole Motley Crue and Cult tours. As a result of the Motley Crue tour, I met Rudy, who used to do Van Halen, and then Mick Mars, and this guy knows his stuff. Do you guys, do you give yourself space to solo in the middle of a song? Even though I'm the lead player and I have certain statements that I want to make when we write, the least important part of it at the time of writing is the solo break. The main part is the song. Is there something you learned on the first record that will make the second record better? When we started with the basic tracks, we'd play things that we would live. I'd do the beginning of Jungle, which has no drums, and Steve would come in. That's the way we recorded it. All of a sudden, I've got to go back and overdub. And if there's no meter to count from, we had that problem with Sweet Child of Mine, Jungle, and Paradise City. I started all those songs, and the drums came in later. I find the meter on the drums and go back and try to use that meter to start the song out. And it's never right. I don't use a click. We play off of feel, so the meter changes all the time. If you listen to Sweet Child of Mine, the tempo in the very beginning is different from when the drums come in, which is a little faster. I had to play the beginning 50 times to get it right with the drums. Even our count in, the beginning was different from when the drums came in. That's another product of ignorance. Man, the producer should have fixed that, unless the band just couldn't do it. I'm going to just interrupt and say that. Do you still listen to as much music as you used to? Let's check out my tape box. Cassettes. Beastie Boys, The Pistols, Nevermind, The Bullocks, Queen's News of the World, Cinderella, Night Songs, Jeff Beck's Blow by Blow, Stones, Zeppelin, Aerosmith, AC/DC, Who Made Who, Van Halen, Cheap Trick, 1 and 2, Ride the Lightning, Master Puppets, Garage Days, Motorhead, No Remorse, Georgia Satellites, Megadeth, Peace Sells, Keith Richards Bootleg, Pink Floyd, Animals, The Wall, Wish You Were Here, Smack's first record, an Alice Cooper compilation. The albums that always put me in the right mood, the right frame of mind are Physical Graffiti, Master of Puppets, any AC/DC, Rock's Live Bootleg, Led Zeppelin 1, Who Are You? But I don't learn licks anymore. As far as influences and picking up stuff, I stopped listening to bands a long time ago. The only person I listen to now, as far as learning, is me. I don't even listen to the record. I just know what I play and the way I play now. I just practice being me. The Night Swan by Kramer. Created by Vivian Campbell. And here were the most popular, best-selling guitars and basses in '88, late '88. Fender American Strat, Ibanez RG, Fender Squier, Fender Strat, Kramer Striker, Charvel 6, Kramer Focus, Kramer Pacer, BC Rich, Charvel Gibson Les Paul was 13, Fernandez, and Ibanez Gem 777, number 15. Acoustic Guitars, Ovation Celebrity was the number 1 seller, probably price point. They're kind of new too. Pedals, Digitech PDS 1002 was number 1. Few Bosses, Dodds. Basses, Fender Precision Bass, no surprise. Ibanez, Yamaha, BC Rich, Kramer. Amps, PV Rage was the number 1 amp being sold. Marshall Full Stack, the 2205, number 2. Crate, G40C, Fender Twin, PV Bandit, GK250ML, I had one of those. Mesa Boogie Mark III. Rack Effects, Digitech DSP 128. Yeah, those things were so popular. They sounded good for the day. Interesting, you look here, you got all these Charvels and Kramers. And you got the Marshall Stack, is number 2 amp. Clearly a sign of the times. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Somebody said that. Can't remember who that was. Tell me in the comments. This generation will be wireless. Samson. There you go, everybody. Guitar for the Practicing Musician, September of '88. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Peace out.